Good afternoon, everybody. It's 3:35 on Monday afternoon. Had a very, very busy day. I have been smoking chicken for my daughter, making apple pies for my freezer. I just got done with the chicken and I just put in, my summer sausage. I rolled up this pie and I forgot to put my butter in there. So I'm just finishing up some apple pies here. What I did was I went to Detweiler's yesterday and I bought, I don't know how many pounds of apples I bought. I bought like 17. I counted them for the pies. I had like 17 or 18 apples. I went up to Detweiler's in Sarasota and got Cortland apples. Never had Cortlands before. Never really could get Cortlands down here before until Detweiler's started getting them. Detweiler's is a farm market. They're Amish. They get only good product. Like they get farm-raised eggs and farm-raised animals, and you know they get all the really good quality stuff. So I went up there because they were advertising Cortland apples. I don't even remember what price I paid, honestly. I think $1.29 a pound. I don't know if that's expensive for apples because I don't buy tons of apples to even know if the price is good or bad. I bought, my mother-in-law knows the prices of apples because she makes apple pies all the time. I don't. So, but when it's, when it's apple season, I tend to go a little haywire, as you know, and buy a bunch of stuff to make stuff. So, this, I believe, I can't remember if I bought Zesters, Zestars, Zesters apples. I don't know if that's a Zester or if that was a Cortland. They're very similar. The Zester was a sweet and tart. It tastes to me like a Honey Crisp. Maybe a little bit tarter than a Honey Crisp. And then the Cortlands were very close tasting to a Macintosh, but more firm. Not as soft as a Macintosh. Macintosh is a really super, super soft apple. So what I did was I wanted to come back and show you the whole process. But I had my son here. My daughter came here to pick up her chicken. She had the 2 grandchildren. It was just way too much commotion going on for me to try to videotape and know what I was talking about. Because I tend to get more distracted when they're here. So I took my 17 or 18 apples and I peeled them and I cored them and I cut them and I put them into a bowl of lemon juice. I had lime juice, into a bowl of lime juice until I could rinse them off and drain them for my pie filling. Then I put them in this gigantic stainless steel bowl, huge bowl. This huge bowl was like this big around. It's huge. And I put the apples in there and I did 3 batches of my mother-in-law's apple pie filling. The last time I bulk made pies was in July when I did the peaches. And I was kind of concerned about how I just had all these peaches and I was making all the, like doubling and tripling my filling recipe to get the right amount for each pie. And I was a little concerned about it, but when I baked my first peach pie, it was absolutely perfect. It was delicious and the filling was cooked just the way it was supposed to. So I was really happy about how it came out. So I know the other 2 pie fillings that are in the freezer are going to be just as good. So I decided to do the same thing with the apples. So I peeled all the apples and did all that. And so for my mother-in-law's pie filling recipe is 8 good sized apples. And I had 17 to 18 apples. So I did a 3 batch of this. And I ended up with a ton of juice. So what I did was I added the apples to the pie with a measuring cup and drained off most of the juice. And then I added juice back to the pie because trying to put them in there, it was overflowing with juice. I did throw a little bit of juice away. So there's plenty of juice in this pie. But I made it and I had to sit for a bit. I did my pie crust this morning, so I had them in the refrigerator. So it's 8 good sized apples, 1 cup of granulated sugar, a half a cup of brown sugar, a 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon and a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. And of course I tripled that. So then I mixed them all up. Then I made my pies. I'll add a picture of the other 2 pies that I already did. They're already in my freezer. And this, so I ended up with 4 pies. 4 pies. 3 are going in the freezer. 1 is in my oven. Because I decided, why not bake an apple pie tonight, see how it turns out. And then I'll know, the Cortland apples, they said, were very good for cooking, making applesauce, making pie, cobblers, you name it. It was a good cooking apple. So that's what I wanted. I wanted something I'd never tried before and something that was going to taste fairly good. So I got all that done. I was just finishing up my last pie here. Thought that I better come on because I wanted to come on earlier. That's a lot of crust. So I'm just going to trim some of my crust. Sometimes when I trim the crust around the sides, I trim off too much. And then I don't have enough to fold under my pie, my other pie crust, and flute it pretty. One of the other pies I got kind of decorative with. And I took the crust and I cut out using fall cookie cutters. I cut out leaves, like fall leaves, and was acorns and fall leaves, different types of fall leaves, and then I used that for my top crust. I just kind of laid them all around pretty, trying to be a little bit different, a little bit more decorative for the holidays. That one will probably be either my Christmas pie or my Thanksgiving pie. That's really thick right there. That's a lot of crust. I gotta cut some of that back. When you roll your pie crust under, you want enough crust to roll under, but you don't want a heaping amount of crust. You don't want it to be super, super thick. I would love it if it was like that anyway, because I am a crust person. I love pie crust. Every time we would have pie at my mother-in-law's, everybody would eat the pie and they would cut off the crust on the edge and just leave it on their plate. And I'm like, why are you leaving that luscious crust? That's the best part of the pie. One of the best parts is that crunchy crust. Everybody would save me their pie crust and I would eat it. Kind of crazy, I don't know. So I got my things folded under, and now I'm just going to take my 2 fingers and just flute it really pretty. This part used to take me forever to do. Not that I'm an expert pie baker. I'm still practicing. But it doesn't have to look like a machine made it. It doesn't. It can be a little bit you know, rustic looking if you want it to be as such. So there, I got my edge done. I don't know how well you can see that. And I take a sharp knife. Now this is what I did before. I cut, sometimes I like to cut an X, and then I'll cut a slit over here and kind of like mark where the slices are. I kind of like to do that because I'm a terrible pie cutter too. So I kind of like to kind of mark where the pie is supposed to, where you're supposed to cut the pie. But I don't know what to do with this one. You know, the stores, when they make them, they cut them in a circle. But I think I'll just do my trusted plus sign. It's more like a plus sign than a cross. Kind of looks like the Star of David. And then I'll do a slit over here and a slit over here. And then I'll turn it, and then I'll do a slit over here and a slit over here. And then I'll just slit it in between each one, and that kind of gives you a guide on where to cut your pie. Hopefully you have pretty nice even slices. So there's my pie. Like I said, this is the best pie crust. I love my mother-in-law's pie crust, but I can't make my mother-in-law's pie crust. It doesn't work for me. I use Ina Garten's perfect pie crust recipe. You make it in the food processor, and it is, I'm telling you, it's the easiest because it's 3 cups of flour, all-purpose flour, 1 tablespoon of sugar, a teaspoon of salt, 1.5 sticks of ice cold or frozen butter, and 1/3 cup of ice cold or frozen Crisco. And I did not do that this time. I just took it straight out of the can, but I did use the cold butter. So you put all that in your food processor and you pulse it a few times just to get the butter broke up and the Crisco busted up and mixed in with the butter. And then you keep your lid on it. You take the pour spout off, and then you pour in 1/2 cup of ice water very, very slowly. And if you want to see the video on that, I did post one on my YouTube channel for the perfect pie crust. Then you just pour that water in really slowly, and then when it all comes together and starts rolling around like in a ball in your food processor, it's done. At that point, you take it out, kind of push it all into a big circle. I cut it in half, and then I put that into each circle, like I may roll it into a disc, and then I'll wrap each half in plastic wrap and put it in the fridge for at least a half an hour. I think they were in there for almost 2 hours because I was busy with the kids. So, then I just took out my pie crust, and then it just made my pies. And it took me all afternoon. I mean, I made the pie crust this morning. What time was that? I don't remember. But I've been busy all day, so this is the last pie. And I did stop and take a break and had to make phone calls and this and that. So, you know, had I kept going from start to finish, it probably would have been 2 hours for 4 pies. 4 pies. I'm very happy with that. Very happy with that, because now I've got stuff in my freezer. So when the holidays come around, or if I feel like, you know, apple pie just sounds really good right now, I could bake one. But I don't even have to fuss over it. Just bake it. So now what I did with this pie is I put it in, normally I'll start it at a higher temperature, like at 400, and then for 15 minutes or so, and then turn it down to 350. I didn't do that. I read all kinds of pie recipes. Some of them say to start them high for 10 or 15 minutes, then turn them down, then cook it for an hour. Some of them say don't do that. Some of them say just put them in your oven at 350 for about an hour and 15 minutes or until the crust is golden brown. And I usually put a piece of foil around my edge, but I did not do that this time either. If I see that it's starting to brown quicker than the rest of the pie, I will at that point take some foil and crimp it around the edge of my pie. But I'm pretty happy with how my pies turned out. I like the fact that I can stick them in my freezer and have them whenever I want them. It takes a lot of work in the initial, but when the apples are, I should have been a farmer, because when the apples are in season down here, or anywhere, but in Florida, they only come down from the areas up north that they come from for a short period of time, and then like other stuff, they're gone. And I had today off from work because it was a teacher work day, so when I have the extra time to do it, I just go ahead and labor it, and then I'll have it when I want it later on. So anyway, been a very busy day around here. My grandson Calvin, he likes to help me in the kitchen when he's around, so he helped me mix all the sugar and everything into the pie filling. He had fun doing it. He cut one of the apples. I have one of those spiraling apple machines that peels, cuts, cores your apple all in one, and he learned how that worked. I thought for sure he would have a blast with that. But he's 5. He's pretty strong for a little boy. But I think he needs another year or 2 to be able to crank that pretty good. He liked it, but I don't know. I think the grown-ups have more fun with that kind of a thing than the little kids do. My daughter thought it was cool. I had a blast. My son had a blast, but they're adults, you know. Another year or so, it makes cutting, coring, and peeling the apples super, super easy. And I know I did that. Did I do that before on camera? I think I did. I think I was making something, and I did put that on a YouTube video. I can't really remember right at the moment. I thought maybe I did. I know I showed it before, cutting it. Maybe it was on Facebook. I don't know. I'll have to check my YouTube channel. I have over 100 videos on there. I can't keep track of everything I do. So anyway, that's it for today. Apple pie making, freezing. These pie shells too. There it is up close. Now right before I bake these, I'll either add an egg wash to it or some cream, and then sprinkle it with the raw sugar, and then bake it. It makes the crust really good. That's it for today. If you like what you've seen and you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up. Like my page. Share me with your friends. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section, and I will do my best to answer your questions. I will go ahead and put the pie crust and the pie filling recipe in the description box below. So for now, that's it for Crocker's Crazy Living. I'll take a picture of the other pies that I've done that are in the freezer. Now, once they get frozen, I'll take them back out. I'll vacuum seal them, and then I'll put them back in the freezer with a date on it, and then I'll know when I made them. So when I go to bake them, I'll know. Although you don't want to just leave them in your freezer unwrapped, because you don't want them freezer burnt and stuff. So I will put the recipe in the description box. So until I see you again, have a great day. Have a wonderful rest of your week. This is Monday. And I'll see you next time on Crocker's Crazy Living. Thank you. Bye.